Good day, viewers. Pwalpar here. Thought I'd get on here and do a little vlog today. I've been learning a new program. Well, it's not new, but it's a program new to me. I've been learning Capcut, a different video editor than I normally use. And in the process I'm learning to work the program, I want to share a story with you today. But we're going to use AI, what they call AI for artificial intelligence. It's called text-to-speech. In other words, I sit and type something, and the computer does the talking for me. I don't have to record. Normally when I'm making a video, I have to record my voice and edit it, put it in a program where it's somewhat presentable to my viewers to watch. Today I'll share the story with you. The story is how I got a railroad job, but it's more than one part. The first part is a story I wrote about a little boy that I met on a Trailways bus. But the benefit to me is I can sit and type a story, and the computer does the talking for me. You lose some things like my southern accent, some of the more meaningful processes in speaking normally for people. Occasionally the artificial voice that I'm going to use in today's story doesn't pronounce a word right. It's like a couple examples. The city that I grew up in Florida, or that I lived in at the time in Florida, was called O'Galley. It's a French word, E-A-U, capital G-A-L-L-I-E, means that part of it's French and part of it's Indian, and it means rocky water. But simply pronouncing words right doesn't, sometimes AI don't know how to pronounce a word. But I dwell too much on that subject. Let's listen to the story that I'm going to share with you today. In the process, just realize that it's a program I'm learning, and I have to work at it to get, I've spent several hours doing this story, not in writing in it, but just working the Capcut video editor. Keep this introduction from being too long. Let's get on with the story. I appreciate any comments you care to make.
This story begins in late September of 1969, with me sitting on a Trailways bus. If you have ever traveled across a sizable portion of this country on a bus, you know about how I was feeling at the time. Believe me, if I had a car with me, I sure wouldn't have been on that bus. You travel from town to town along the route you are taking, and stop at every bus station along the way. That makes the trip so much longer, and only increases your desire to get there faster, even stronger. But it does no good, because it won't speed up the trip. You see people come and go, and if you're lucky, a few of them may actually speak to you. But usually they just sit and stare at each other. I was getting cramps from having sat so long. I was sitting there wishing I had taken an airplane instead of a bus, just to save a few bucks. There I sat with over $500 in my wallet. I could have taken a plane, but then I reflected on why I had made that decision. I had to try to save some money to get by with until I again had some money coming in. I had no idea what the future had in store for me, so being frugal was the order of the day. At the next stop, a woman got on the bus with several children in tow. She asked, "Do you mind if Tommy sits with you?" "No, ma'am, I don't mind," I replied. I thought to myself, surely he will speak to me some, and I won't have to listen to some old wino sit and snore like I had earlier in the day. It turned out Tommy had 1,000 questions, and he asked them all for the next couple of hours. I sat patiently answering his questions. Questions like, "Why are you wearing that funny round hat?" "Well," I replied, "it's called a white hat, and it's part of my uniform." "Why is your suit all blue, and has them funny white stripes on the collar and wrists?" "These are my dress blues. All of us sailors have to wear uniforms like this. Why is a bird on your arm?" "That's an eagle, but we call it a crow. It just means I am a petty officer." "Do you wear that suit all the time?" As I sat answering his questions, my mind slowly drifted back over the last 4 years, since I had left my home in Ogallie, Florida, to go off and serve my country, and of how, yes indeed, I had worn a uniform all that time. Little did Tommy know, this was probably the last full day I would wear a uniform, because early next morning I would be at my destination and would once again be classed as a civilian with no job and an uncertain future. All I really knew was that I was going to give it a try, and if it failed, I could always go back and re-enlist in the Navy. We were nearing the town where Tommy would be getting off, and I had learned that Tommy had no father figure to look up to, and I kind of liked the kid. "I want to be a sailor," he said. "Okay, Tommy, we will enlist you right now," I told him. "Really, honest, and truly," he said. I stood up and reached up and retrieved a small handbag that I had on the bus with me and pulled out a white hat. "Raise your right hand," I said, "and repeat after me." He raised his hand while smiling from ear to ear and repeated the shortened version that I gave him. "I, Tommy, do solemnly swear to uphold the Constitution and protect my country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance and obey all orders of the President of the United States and all orders of my mother. So help me God." It felt right to me as I placed the white hat on his head and told him, "I hereby proclaim you a seaman recruit." I saluted him and said, "Welcome to the United States Navy." He returned my salute very proudly. I straightened his hat for him and said, "Now always keep that hat squared away." "A good sailor always keeps his hat squared away," I said. As he got up to leave the bus, he stopped and gave me a big hug, and I said, "Bye, Tommy," and he walked proudly off the bus. I felt kind of proud myself, and hoped I had made a small difference in his life.